Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. You can call. You can text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We're going to have a double dose of doctors today. Dr. Kristin Lyrely will be here at 10:33. We are going to talk about the high cost of medical care.
Yeah.
And what could potentially be done to make sure that we don't keep going bankrupt because we get sick.
I would love to know any ideas.
Yeah, me too. So she will be joining us at 10:33. Next hour, of course, at 11:33. She is here every Wednesday for public Cervix announcement. Dr. Laura Hanks will be joining us. We're going to be talking about flu, the actual flu, and bird flu.
Yeah.
And also RSV, which is something that's become a bigger thing in the last couple of years, and why you should maybe want to consider getting vaccinated.
It sounds like a good idea to me.
Does sound like a good idea. And many, many other things we're going to cover next hour. We're very sad about something related to the onion.
Yeah.
So all those details coming up. And, of course, we are going to continue with Civic Media's latest statewide text-to-win contest, the Grown Up Gift List. Contest is underway. We are on day 3. Every day you can listen in the 7, 11, 1, and 4 o'clock hours. You will be given a keyword. You have to text in using the Civic Media app. You have to use the app.
Yep.
So if someone, say Greg Bach, does not have the app, what should they do?
They should go to their favorite app store of choice and download the Civic Media app because it's absolutely free.
It is absolutely free. And then next hour, when we give you that keyword, there's a text button, and you can text in directly. So you text in that keyword, and that gets you in the running for one of our hourly prizes.
Yep.
Either $100 cash or an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. And then everyone who enters is going to be in the drawing for the grand prize. We have 8 different grand prizes.
Ooh.
Everything from espresso machines to luggage sets to robot vacuums to a snowblower. So be listening next hour after the 11 o'clock news for that keyword you want to text in. And again, if you don't have the Civic Media app, I would suggest you download it right now.
It's not just good for the contests either, Jane.
It's fantastic. It's a great app.
You can listen to the shows. You can listen to certain sports matches being played.
Yes.
You can customize it to be whichever one's your favorite station, what you receive from us. I mean, it is a very and they're always working on updates too. So it's a really fun app to have. And as we said, free.
Absolutely free. That's one of Greg's favorites. I wanted to start off with this, and I'm genuinely curious if you have had a different experience than I have about mergers, when companies merge. And who does that benefit? It has never been my experience that the customer is the one who benefits when there's 2 big corporations that merge.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just my lived experience and someone else has something different. But the reason we're bringing this up is because the big Kroger's $25 billion deal to merge with grocery rival Albertsons has been blocked by U.S. courts. A judge blocked that pending $25 billion merger yesterday in a win for the Federal Trade Commission. This is from Reuters. Kroger has said it would scuttle the deal. The FTC argued during a trial in Portland, Oregon, that the merger would eliminate head-to-head competition between the 2 traditional grocery chains, leading to higher prices for shoppers and reducing bargaining leverage for unionized workers. So, and now I believe it's Kroger is now either suing Albertson or Albertson is suing Kroger because this deal got scuttled. But again, they claimed Kroger defended the deal, saying it would bring prices down at Albertson stores where prices are 10 to 12% higher than Kroger's prices. Now, sentence is very confusing. The merged company would fund price cuts through cost savings it expects from a larger operation and a larger customer base to drive revenue for Kroger's data consulting business. Can you explain that to me?
You had me until the very last part. Basically, what I heard was because Kroger would buy Albertson, their reach would be so far and wide, they'd be making so much more money with more customers that they could fund price cuts on the Albertson side. Now, when you get to the very end with like data service. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I had no idea that Kroger had their own data mining service.
Right.
But it just sounds like to me what they're saying is we'll have more and we'll have more of you so we can lower our prices. But folks, I'd like to think I'm not stupid. I'm sure there are plenty of people listening right now who are like, I have a different thought, Greg. But I don't think for a moment that prices will be cut so dramatically that they will make that much of a difference.
And that everyone will be celebrating.
That everyone will be, yep, they'll be going to aisle 10, picking up little pop gun things and be like, we did it. We saved money. I don't think this is going to be in any interest for anybody but shareholders,
Yes.
for CEOs, for managers. I think this is all for them, not for us, because they know we have to, and we have less ability to go to it. Like, okay, the Piggly Wiggly is too expensive. I'm going to go to the festival. The festival's too expensive. So when you take away that option, then I have to buy food from you.
And I think they kind of like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what they want.
855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Do you believe these big corporate mergers end up being good for the consumers? I just think about airlines.
Oh, my God.
And,
perfect example.
Right? Every time an airline merges, it's like, oh, this is going to be so much better. You just tried to schedule a flight to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And they want to send you from Milwaukee to Texas?
To Dallas. There was a Dallas option. There's an Atlanta option. There's a Denver option. There are and I checked this on Milwaukee to Charleston, Chicago to Charleston, both airports in Chicago. All three and on three separate flights, on three separate airlines.
Right.
There isn't one of them that has a
Direct.
non-stopped.
They all route you someplace else.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't. Steve in Milwaukee texting in, absolutely not. It always compromises quality.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. And I think the other thing that happens too with these big corporate mergers, at least when they deregulated the media industry in the 90s in radio, the big promise was this is going to make it so easy for them to put different music formats out there. Littler known music formats. And so it's going to open up so many avenues for musicians. You know what happened? They merged. A bunch of radio companies started buying other radio companies, and then they started firing staff.
Yep.
Because you were recreating systems that already existed in a different place.
And they have such strict and stringent playlists. I'll never forget this story. I was watching the Ken Burns country music documentary, and it was Loretta Lynn's birthday, and they told Alison Krauss that as she was on the radio saying, it's like, all right, let's play Loretta Lynn song. They're like, we can't do that. She's not part of a rotation.
Right.
And so like this idea, those stories you hear from artists who are like 80, 90 years old now, like, I went to the radio station, she just knocked on the door until someone gave me a job and let me play. That just can't happen. And now you have things like Spotify, like all these businesses, like we provide the customer. No, you don't.
No.
And in the situation you're talking about too, Jane, that also suffocates the artist then too.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and none of that happened. Now, all the promises that they made about all these different, formats and musicals, that never happened. They just merged a bunch of stuff together and then recreated it. And then they started automating everything.
Yep.
So that really helped a lot. We're talking about the grocery chain Albertson calling off its $25 billion merger with Kroger, ending what would have been the largest merger in U.S. supermarket history. Announced in 2022, it would have combined the 5th and 10th largest retailers in the country. They own dozens of grocery chains, including Safeway, Vons, Harris, Teeter, and Fred Meyer. Albertsons now is the one who is suing Kroger for breach of contract, alleging Kroger caused the merger to be blocked.
Wasn't Kroger trying to buy Albertson?
Albertson said Kroger failed to exercise its best efforts to take any and all actions to make sure that the merger was approved.
Okay. PJ on the live stream just says Aldi grocery stores are a great alternative. That's true. I have one right by my house. I have a festival right by my house. Those are the two places I go. those Kroger owned grocery stores now are all getting revamped facelifts, and they're getting more expensive. Just getting more and more expensive.
Have you ever had an experience where a merger has worked out well for you as the customer, as the consumer?
I was going to say, no CEOs.
Yeah, no shareholders that we're not looking for you. I mean, sure, you can call in, but listening on WAUK, texter says, when there are too many mergers, we get away from true capitalism and the market forces are out of balance.
Yes.
Supply and demand. Yeah. And that's what you said. Right now we can go, I'll go to Metcalfe's, and if it's not there, then I'll go to Aldi. And if it's not there, I can find it cheaper over here. That's capitalism.
That's capitalism. But when Kroger owns Metcalf, Metro Market, Pick and Save, and all these labels, that's the problem then too. Is like they own Kroger owns all these labels, Albertsons owns all these labels, and you think you're going to different places, but you're not.
But you're not.
You are going to one business, and one paycheck happens at the end of the day, and that goes to the CEO or the shareholders, and that's the problem. And that statement on true capitalism is absolutely correct, I believe.
It's about competing market forces.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And choices and options.
Yeah. And the moment that this sort of toxic capitalism is taking place where you have two choices, that's not true capitalism. The market's supposed to determine, and the market's supposed to make its decision based on the people's wants and needs. And this is not helping.
Well, and two, I think it's important to remind folks as well that if we really want lower grocery prices, and I think we can all agree that we do, mergers of big grocery conglomerates is not the way to bring down prices.
No, and it's about getting at the companies. As we've said before, presidents do not decide egg prices.
Shockingly, no.
Doesn't matter who the president is.
Doesn't matter. All right, we're gonna have an update for you about that man who faked his own death in Green Lake in a bogus kayaking accident. He's back. All the details on the way. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us. You can call. You can text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter a little later on today during the Maggie Dawn Show from 2 to 4 p.m. She will be talking about affirmative action. And also, I've seen a few articles about this, breakups over politics.
Oh, yeah.
And she's going to want you to join in if you're going through this yourself. I know that's happened in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean,
People parting ways over politics. So that will be coming up a little bit later on today on the Maggie Dawn Show from 2 to 4 here across the Civic Media Radio Network. We did talk about this, I think, about a month ago.
I think like a week ago, actually.
Was it only a week ago?
God, the time is nothing.
It all smushes together. Headline reads from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, missing kayaker Ryan Borkwart is in custody at Green Lake County Jail. They are going to be holding a press conference. I believe it's going to be at 11 o'clock this morning. But when we talked about this, again, this man faked his death at Green Lake.
Dramatically.
Yeah, very dramatically. Faked his death in Green Lake and then fled overseas. He was apparently in communication with a woman from Uzbekistan.
Okay.
And when we last talked about this, they had discovered that he was alive.
Yes.
Because they thought he was dead. There was a massive search that happened when he first went missing. Got national attention after authorities, though, uncovered that he planned this whole thing. But they searched for him for 54 days. Underwater drones, submersible sonar, divers, canine cadaver teams. And apparently one of the reasons why he picked Green Lake is because it's one of the deepest lakes in Wisconsin.
Okay. I just remember him being very surprised that they spent so much time looking for him. He was like, I thought it'd be 2 weeks.
And it would be over.
Yeah.
Well, he leaves behind a wife and he's got children. And the last time we talked about this, the sheriff had said, we're in communication with him. He actually provided video evidence to show that he was alive.
Okay.
And then the sheriff had said at that point, well, we're going to try and get him to come back and do the right thing.
He used the guy's family to appeal to him, which I thought was very, very confident, because I figured, like,
someone who does this?
Yeah, like his plan in the article here, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel article, he stashed an e-bike near the boat launch. He paddled a kayak on a child-sized inflatable boat.
Along with a child-sized boat.
Yeah. Overturned the kayak and dumped his phone in the lake, paddled the inflatable boat to the shore, riding the e-bike to Madison.
From Green Lake.
From Green Lake, boarding a bus in Madison to Detroit, and then going to Canada, and then getting on a plane to Europe. The idea that the sheriff was like, I want to talk to him about his family. I'm like, it seems like he doesn't want to be around his family.
Well, whatever he did must have worked, because he is back in Wisconsin and he is now in custody. I feel for his family.
Absolutely.
I just feel for his family.
Yes. Yep.
And hopefully they'll be able to at least have some sense of resolution or some sense of peace. It will be interesting to if we ever find out what brought him back.
Yeah.
Because as you said, I would have thought appealing to his conscience would have been a lost cause.
Well, also, I don't know if he had much of a life in Uzbekistan.
Maybe well, that's true too.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure the standard of living in Uzbekistan.
The thing that really, is upsetting is that any insurance money they may have gotten has to be paid back, most likely, because he ain't dead. So
and they're going to want their money back.
Yeah, they're going to want their money back, and it's just, this is, my heart's with the family. This guy can sit in a jail and think about what he did for a while, but this is just awful for the family.
Well, and it will be interesting to see. I mean, they're going to charge him with something.
I have to imagine, yeah.
Right?
Like, yeah, I have to imagine. And
at least to make restitution for the 54 days that they shelled out all this money searching for him.
Yeah. I mean, well, that was the other thing too, is I think it was $54,000 they were trying to get back for the total search, for the price tag for all the equipment.
All the man hours, all the people.
He can't pay that. He can't pay. My guess is he doesn't have that money lying around. So it's going to probably fall on his family to have to be responsible for.
Well, and which would be Can you imagine to add insult onto injury?
Yeah.
If his wife is going to be the one who's going to have to be responsible for that, that would be terrible. Again, there should be a news conference. I believe it's coming up at 11 o'clock. The Green Lake Sheriff is going to be holding a news conference about that. So if we have an opportunity, we will give you an update. But don't forget, I mean, he planned this pretty thoroughly.
Yes.
He cleared his browsers on his laptop the day of his disappearance. He replaced the hard drive. He checked about moving money to foreign banks and was constantly in communication with a woman from Uzbekistan. So maybe that love affair went sour, and that's finally what brought him home.
It just ended up being a dude named like Morris. Like, I didn't really think you'd come here.
And from Chippewa Falls, listening on WA, says maybe the girl he was with found out what he did and she dumped him.
There's that.
And then Matt from Germantown says, do you really think insurance companies pay out money that quickly? They're so slow. I would be surprised. That's a good point, Matt.
Yeah.
They would drag that out right as long as humanly possible.
Yeah. I mean, it also the notion of how much did it cost them to do all this too? Like, and where did that money come from? Probably came from their joint bank account.
We will find out.
Honestly, like this sounds like a Lifetime movie.
I was going to say.
A Lifetime movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
News is coming up next. We will give you an update again if we learn anything new at that news conference coming up at 11 o'clock. News is coming up next when we return. The high cost of health care. How can we fix it? Is there a way to fix it? Dr. Kristin Lyrely will be joining us. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
I've been searching for that missing person. He used to want to try to walk the straight and narrow. He had a fire and he could be in the narrow. It's been a long time and I haven't seen him lately, but I've been searching for that missing person. For that missing person.
Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and the Board Lord coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. You can call. You can text. The number is the same. It's 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Before we get to our guest, I want to remind you that Civic Media's latest statewide Text to Win contest is underway. It's our grown-up gift list. Perhaps you were thinking, wouldn't it be nice if I had an extra $100 to spend? Wouldn't it be nice if I had an overnight stay at the Chula Vista Resort?
I think those things both all the time.
Every day?
Every day.
So here is your chance to pick up one of those two things over the next 2 weeks. In the 7, 11, 1, and 4 o'clock hours, we have a keyword for you to text in using the Civic Media app. You must use the Civic Media app. And then you're in the running either for that $100 or that overnight stay. Everyone is in the running for the grand prizes, which include espresso machine,
Yep.
some luggage,
Ooh.
a little robotic vacuum, snowblower.
I was just going to say, is there a snowblower in there?
There is a snowblower in there too.
Whoa.
So be listening after the 11 o'clock news. We will have the keyword for you to text in, and that also gives you time to download the Civic Media app. If you haven't done that, go to wherever you get your apps and look for Civic Media. Download it, and then get ready to text in after the 11 o'clock news. All right, she is our friend, and she is a doctor. Dr. Kristin Lyrely is here. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. I am well. How are you all?
We're good. We're good. We're
Good.
staying warm. Yes, we're staying warm. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, this.
Oh my
It's a-
gosh. I have to drive up to northern Minnesota tomorrow, and it is literally going to be minus 18 when I get there.
Oh,
Air
baby.
temperature.
Oh,
I know.
baby. Yes, bundle up. You're going to need it. We're going to talk about you. You texted me and said that you have some new breaking news about cervical cancer. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But the reason I had reached out to you to talk about this, and this is from December 4th, and I want to point out that they have since backed off on this. But this was the headline from NBC Connecticut. Anthem Insurance will no longer this was the update. Anthem Insurance will no longer cap anesthesia coverage at a certain time limit for patients. So what they wanted to do was charge patients more if the surgery went longer than Anthem thought it should. So they were going to stop paying for anesthesia after a certain point. Now, after the tragic shooting of Brian Thompson from United Healthcare, they rescinded that. But that was something that they were considering doing. And that's why I reached out to you, Dr. Lyrely. It's like, how can they do that? What you're telling me that if I'm in the middle of having my gallbladder removed and that the timer goes off, and so they're just going to let me wake up before I'm done?
Yeah. I'm looking at this from a surgeon's perspective. So, and there were no modifications in this policy for people who had complications or other issues. Like sometimes surgeries can go longer because they need to. So as a surgeon who's doing a procedure for someone who needs to take the time that that procedure requires, I can't even imagine knowing that 30 minutes is over and anesthesia coverage is over now, so I need to hurry up.
Right.
Or we're going to stop and not complete the surgery because your anesthesia coverage is done. Like that is just plain bad patient care. And it's silly, like it's ridiculous, but they're doing this incrementally with so many other things, often in clinics, often related to prescription drug coverage or other therapies that we prescribe for our patients, but then they deny and they don't get access to. And as a patient, you have no way to influence any piece of this, whether it's behavior or history or choosing a different, it doesn't matter. You are at the mercy of your insurance company. It's just not right.
Well, it almost seems like what they want to do is they'll say, we'll give you the anesthesia. We'll continue to give you the anesthesia, but anything over the clock, we're going to charge you for.
Exactly.
We can't not do it, but we also can't give you 45 minutes. We can only give you 30 minutes. So that extra 15 is going to cost you. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Well, and I mean, we saw this, the prime example in obstetrics was with epidurals in labor. So if you go into the hospital and you're having a baby and you choose to get an epidural, great. The anesthesiologist shows up. you have your conversation, you get your epidural, you have your baby, and then months later you get a bill from the anesthesiologist because guess what? He wasn't in your network. Well, you didn't get to choose. It's not like you were presented with 4 options.
Right.
You got the person who showed up at your bedside and offered
Yep.
you pain relief. So this is just another way that they make money off of you without you not even knowing what's happening. That was where the surprise billing legislation came from. It's incidents like that. And the insurance companies continue to find these little nooks and crannies where they can charge you in ways that you don't understand. They make it complicated. They make it something you can't control. And
Yes.
frankly, you don't have options, right? If you work for a company, many people don't have 6 different plans to choose from. And even if you do, you don't know. They're so intricate and complicated. You don't know what you're getting. You just kind of, throw a dart and pick a plan.
Yeah, take your best shot, right?
Right? This is not healthcare. This is not about healthcare. This is about making money for insurance companies. And, no wonder we saw what happened in New York, which, by the way, is horrific and
It's
terrible.
horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But people feel helpless and they
And
feel like they don't have any other options.
And they're angry, and I get that. I absolutely get the anger and the frustration. No one should do what happened to Brian Thompson. It's just horrible. It's just horrifying. Yeah, we don't need more vigilante justice in this country. We have enough problems as it is. But again, I completely understand people's frustration and anger. Then I found this one from the Washington Post from Elizabeth Rosenthal. George Lai of Oregon took his toddler to a pediatrician last summer for a checkup when the doctor noticed a splinter in his palm. So he must have gotten this between the car and somewhere coming into the doctor's office. His son wasn't complaining. The doctor grabbed a pair of tweezers, pulled out the splinter. They turned that into a surgical billing code of incision and removal of a foreign body subcutaneous and charged him $414.
Yeah, that's the code.
According to this article, now they're kind of coding all kinds of things as a surgery in order to bill them. A woman goes to her dermatologist for her annual skin check. She mentioned a skin tag that had been irritating her a little bit. The doctor froze it with liquid nitrogen. Helene Schilder says it was squirt. That was it. She later got an explanation of benefits that said she had been billed for $469 as a surgery.
It's a procedure. It's a procedure that's done in the office, and that is how billing works. And even if I don't charge for that as the provider, my note goes to a coder, and the coder looks through it, sees the procedure that I've done, and they can then add that procedure code on top of what I have charged for the visit.
So the people who are doing the coding, do they have medical backgrounds?
No, they are trained as medical coders, but they are not medical providers. And we, as physicians and nurse practitioners and PAs, we are not trained in how to bill. That's not part of medical school. They don't sit you down and say, this
Right.
is our complicated coding system.
Sure.
They put you in residency programs and they're like, well, figure it out. These are what the office visits look like.
Yeah.
They've changed it recently. So now it's more based on time, which I think is better because, the time that you spend together that's the valuable thing instead
Yeah.
of like all of these different criteria. But it's still, it's expensive for one. And it's incongruent with why we went into this business in the first place. We went into it to care for people and to know that they're picking apart these little pieces and to remove a splinter costs $400. Like that doesn't make any damn sense.
Well, and I think that one of the things that we've talked about before on the show is that why is it so expensive? Why does it cost so much? And I think one of the things that Americans, I can't speak to anyone else, but Americans truly realize is that it's such a huge process that it's overwhelming that we just sort of do it and say, well, I got to get it done. I got to go to the doctor. I got to get this procedure. And then you get your billing, like that's what you paid. But you can call these places and talk to them, talk to the accounting departments and talk through your bill.
Can you get, you can negotiate? Can you negotiate?
in certain situations, you can negotiate. I can't say exactly how, but I've seen many stories of people who just call up the doctor's office and say, hey, I got this bill for $5,000. I want to go through this line by line with you. And they may take things off, because I think what you're saying, Dr. Lyrely, is that you write it down for one thing. They'll code it for one or two other things. And if you call them and say, hey, this didn't happen. We didn't do this. There is hope there, but I think the insurance companies are counting on most people never doing that in the first place, because who has the time? Who has an hour, 2, 3 hours to sit on the phone with somebody in an accounting department and say, like, all right, this said that I got a pill. I never got that pill. You know what I mean?
But I think you're right. It's like trying to cancel a subscription to something. They're going to make it as difficult for you as possible. So you're just going to give up and keep paying $20 a month because the hassle is just too much.
Yeah.
Definitely. And, what you're saying, Greg, is I never got that pill. Well, what if you did get that pill and that pill did cost $500 and you have a high deductible health plan? So you are responsible for all of those things. And that's one of the big changes that we've seen over the past, decade or so. It used to be that all that stuff was covered, so we never saw it. But then insurance companies started charging for all of those little picky things, and you didn't have the coverage to pay for it right up front. You have to pay for the first, $8,000 of your care, depending on your plan. So it doesn't work. And by the way, those high deductible healthcare plans, if you have a health savings account on the side, that is an incredible investment vehicle for people. You should never, ever spend that money if you can afford to not spend that money that you set aside in your health savings account. But how many people can put aside that money in a health savings account and not use it when you're having to pay up to $8,000 a year out of your pocket for your health care on top of whatever your premium is? I mean, I can tell you yesterday, I just re-upped my own healthcare plan on the exchange, and it's $700 a month for me, just me. And I have an $8,000 deductible.
Jeez.
And that's just me. I'm healthy.
Right.
What do you do if you have a family? What do you do if you have health conditions? What do you do if you are rated because you're a smoker or you have other things going on in your life? It is so, the whole system is rigged to provide profits to these insurance corporations and take little bits of money from us as patients, little bit at a time. We're tired of it.
Everybody's tired of it. People are angry. People are fed up. And when we're talking about that, changing the billing codes to make it a surgical procedure when you use a tweezers to pull out a splinter. Sure, it's $400, but just imagine $400 times 200,000 people once a week.
Mm-hmm.
That adds up to lots and lots of money for the insurance companies. And I see you on the line. We will take you when we come back. You can always join us at 855-752-4842. Dr. Kristin Lyrely is our guest. We're talking about the high cost of health care. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Just where they will. I never noticed them until I got this feeling that it's greater than it seems. Look in my eyes. Tell me what you see. I get that right. Just saying it's too late for me. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us. You can call. You can text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. An hour from now, we will wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today, it's the Nopes Ferratu edition. You want to stick around for that. And if you ever have a thing that you think should not be, send it into Greg and me at janesays@civicmedia.us, JANESAYS, janesays@civicmedia.us. Our guest is Dr. Kristin Lyrely, and we're talking about the high cost of healthcare and all this stuff insurance companies seem to get away with. And we do have a couple people on the line. Ann from Chippewa Falls has been very patient. Good morning, Ann. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Jane and Greg, and Christine. Yeah, I'm dealing with an insurance issue right now. Every year I go to the dermatologist. My dermatologist, she retired, so I had to go to a new gal, which was fine. And they used the nitrogen, whatever, to zap a couple spots. You know, I wasn't sure, but she just zapped them. She didn't say anything. My dermatologist that I used to have, she'd do the same thing maybe once or twice. I just got the office, price. It was like $250, $300 for the office visit and the checkup. Well, then I got an additional $450 charged for zapping those two spots I didn't know she was going to charge me for. And I've been fighting this since June 17th. I know it's not a huge bill. I paid the office visit because that's legit.
Yeah.
But nobody told me that just by zapping that she was going to charge me $400 and some dollars. And I'm not saying her, particularly her, but the system.
Right.
And I've been fighting it. And I have to usually call them because I'm worried, is this going to go on my credit report? And the gal said, nope, this won't go on your, nope. And I'm thinking, I hope not.
Did they give you any end date for this, Ann? I mean, where are you sitting with this now?
Said something about December 15th, either to call them or they'll call me and let me know what's going on. In the meantime, once in a great while, I've gotten bills from them, the same bill.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, don't give up.
Yeah.
Because they're counting on you on giving up. So don't. I would say, right, Dr. Lyrely?
Yeah, it's an impossible situation. What was likely happening before was your other doctor just wasn't billing you for those procedures. And a lot of us do that, but it puts us in a weird spot because really, if we're doing a procedure, we need to document it. And if we document it and that note goes to the coders, then the coders will bill it. So it really does become the health insurance company trying to collect as much money as they can from you. So I don't know how successful you're going to be very honest with you, because it was a procedure that was performed, even though you didn't know about it. I think that's your best angle, is that I was not told about this in advance, and now you know. But it also might prevent you from going in and getting care in the future, because when you go in next year, it's going to be the same thing. And do you have that extra $500 to get that routine care that you didn't used to have to pay for? And that's the thing that scares me the most, is once you've been stung, then you don't want to participate in the healthcare system. And that's how we end up with these cancers that are diagnosed late and difficult to treat. And frankly, for some people, cost us our lives because we know something's wrong, but we don't want to have to pay, or we can't afford to pay to go in and get it evaluated.
Well, and I saw another shocking statistic that a lot of cancer patients go through their entire life savings in the first 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, having a diagnosis like that is the number one reason why people go bankrupt in this country.
Is because of medical issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Still, thank you, Ann. I hope you get that resolved. I applaud your tenaciousness, because that's what it takes. Luann from Sheboygan also on the line. She says she knows you, Dr. Lyrely, and she works in the insurance industry. Good morning, Luann. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I have been listening to this conversation, and I am not going to defend the industry that I have worked in for 3 decades. It is a crap show. I'll be the first one to admit it. But in listening to the conversations we're having, I want to just take a second and remind people that The insurance company may be sending you the bill, but it is not the insurance company that is getting the money that you have to pay your doctor. That is going to the doctor's office. The insurance company collects the premium. So in the case of our poor dear person who just called before, people have to ask those questions. When they go into their doctor's offices, don't just take everything that the doctor says or does as just gospel because they're the doctor. You need to be able to ask those questions and say, okay, I'd like to have this done, but can you tell me what this is going to cost me? The insurance company then will get those bills, and if it's an in-network provider, that $400 is likely going to get negotiated down based on the contract that the doctor has with the insurance company. So maybe that $400 went down to $200. But still, in her case, did she sign anything agreeing to these surgical procedures?
We've only got a minute left, Luann, before we have to go to break. We've got news coming up at the top of the hour. Dr. Lyrely, we need to have you back. We have not solved this problem.
Oh, not even close. And, I would say it's not a doctor issue. It's a healthcare system issue. The doctor doesn't know. The doctor
Absolutely.
doesn't know.
Dr. Lyrely, thank you so much. Luann, if you don't mind, Kelvin, get Luann's phone number. We need to continue this conversation and do this again. News coming up next. Stay with us. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. You can call, you can text. Same number, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. It is underway. Civic Media's latest statewide text-to-win contest. It's our grown-up gift list contest underway right now, weekdays through next Friday. You want to listen in the 7, 11, 1, and 4 o'clock hours. You have a chance to pick up either $100 in cash or an overnight getaway to Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. That happens every one of those hours. And then every hourly entry qualifies you for one of the 8 grand prizes in our grown-up gift list. Everything from espresso machines to luggage to a robot vacuum to a snowblower that Greg would really like, but he can't.
I would love a snowblower, but I can't win it.
He can't win it, but you can win. So here's what you do. Go to your Civic Media app. Get to the text button and text in the word pine, P-I-N-E.
All right.
Pine, like pine tree.
All right.
P-I-N-E is the word for this hour. We're playing for $100.
We're playing for $100.
We're playing for $100 this hour. Don't know what will be happening in the 1 o'clock hour, what you're going to play for, but
Yeah.
it's either going to be $100 cash or, again, that overnight getaway to Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Get your Civic Media app out. Do it right now and text the word pine.
Pine.
P-I-N-E. We are playing for $100 in cash. And again, your next chance will be in the 1 o'clock hour with Todd and then 4 p.m. with Dominic Salvia. But right now, the word is pine, P-I-N-E, for $100. Greg's been filming that. We're going to put that up on our socials.
We forgot the intro music.
Oh, I forgot. Well, we had the play it now, Calvin. And the word today is pine.
Chris Pine.
Just pine. Pine is the word, P-I-N-E. Text in the word pine and good luck. We're sad.
We are.
We're sad today.
I'm very upset. I'm very sad. And it's not because of cutting the onions. It's because of
a judge has blocked the Onion's purchase of Alex Jones's InfoWars.
such garbage.
Yeah, this broke today. Very, very disappointing news. We just celebrated this, it feels like a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
A bankruptcy judge, according to CNN, has blocked the Onion's winning bid for Alex Jones's InfoWars conspiracy platform, citing concerns that the auction process left money on the table.
Why is that the judge's concern at all?
Judge Christopher Lopez, bankruptcy judge for the Southern District of Texas, a Trump appointee, said, quote, "I'm not going to approve the sale to the purchaser. I think there is a great lack of clarity here." He said, while the process was well intended, it did not maximize value in any way based upon the record before me. So this is my understanding of what happened. There was a court-appointed trustee
Yeah.
who said that the Onion won the auction to acquire InfoWars parent company Free Speech Systems.
Gross.
That got sold off as part of the defamation settlement after Alex Jones, for decades, called the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre a hoax and tortured those families and encouraged his followers to torture those families. The Onion's bid to buy this was backed by families of 8 victims of Sandy Hook and 1 first responder. So the Onion's parent company, which I like to say just because it makes me laugh, Global Tetrahedron, they offered $1.7 million in cash along with a credit from those Sandy Hook families who offered to give up 100% of their portion of the winning bid in order to support this purchase. So that raised the bid to $7 million.
So the judge thinks that this company, Free Speech Laboratories or whatever, it's worth
Free
more
Speech
money.
Systems.
It's worth more money.
The other competing bid was $3.5 million in cash, and that bid comes from First United American Companies, surprise, surprise, affiliated with Alex Jones, and it also runs his online nutritional supplement store.
I thought he was not allowed to have any way, shape, or form any deal with it, like whatsoever. Like he can't be a part of anything.
Apparently not. Again, we'll put this article in the show notes, and you can read it for yourself.
This is garbage.
Judge Lopez says he took issue with the auction process. The court-appointed trustee in this case had wide discretion to handle the auction and chose the winner based on his own judgments. He initially said there would be a live auction, but then they changed it to sealed best and final bids. After the Onion was declared the winner, Jones and this first American company sued to stop what they call a Frankenstein bid because of the credit portion that the families offered as part of this deal.
But that's not a Frankenstein. That's a group of people coming together saying we will give up X amount of dollars. In this case, they said 100%. They're gonna get paid. So what's the problem here?
Maybe the judge realizes that Alex Jones probably is going to do everything he can to never pay anything because he's been fighting this for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a statement, Christopher Maddie, an attorney for the Connecticut families, again, the Sandy Hook families, say they are disappointed. These families have already persevered through countless delays and roadblocks. They remain resilient and determined as ever to hold Alex Jones and his corrupt businesses accountable for the harm he caused. The decision does not change the fact that soon Alex Jones will begin to pay his debt to these families, and he will continue doing so for as long as it takes. I hope so.
Me too.
I hope so.
This is garbage. I'm so angry about this.
What he did to those families is not only a crime, it's a sin.
He should be in jail for this.
Yes.
He should be in jail. Losing his company is just one of the many things that should happen to Alex Jones. And the fact that any company having anything to do with him whatsoever can be a part of this auction process is criminal, in my opinion. It was a winning bid. It was done.
Yeah.
They cleared it. They said, you got it. The family's a part of this. And anyone who says, oh, they're suing him for his money, well, they've given up their portion of the deal. So this is all garbage. I'm so mad because once again, they get to win.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. So now it's my understanding, again, that the trustee has been given 30 days to come back with a different plan. It's going to go forward in some way, shape, or form. Tuesday night, the CEO of Global Tetrahedron, Ben Collins, told Mother Jones they're very disappointed in the decision, saying the Onion will continue to seek a resolution which helps the Sandy Hook families get a positive outcome for all the horror they endured. Collins also said they will continue to seek a way to purchase InfoWars, adding, quote, "It is part of our larger mission to make a better, funnier internet, regardless of the outcome of this case. And for everyone as upset as we are about this, please know we will continue to seek moments of hope. We are undeterred in our mission to make a funnier world." I hope they do. I hope they keep at it. I hope they get it. I hope the Onion gets InfoWars and makes it the funniest site on the internet.
I hope someone walks in and says,
that would be justice.
I'd love to see someone like a Mark Cuban type be like, I'll give you $20 million in cash right now. And the day that it gets closed, he says, and now the Onion owns this.
Oh, and now I'm going to sell it to the Onion for $1.
Yep. And the families, they don't have to give up any of their money anymore. They can make money if they deserve to make money off this piece of slime.
I have to make an order on Cost Plus Drugs. Maybe I'll tack a note on there to Mark Cuban and suggest that he do that. Cindy from Appleton is on the line. Good morning, Cindy. Thank you for joining us. What did you want to say about this?
Well, with this whole Alex Jones thing, you can kind of understand why there's such hatred and disdain for CEOs these days.
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, don't you think? I mean, here this man is trying to rip all these people off, right?
Oh, yeah.
I guess I don't look at, Cindy, I'm sorry, I don't look at Alex Jones as a CEO. I look at him as a crazy person who's made billions.
But he is a CEO.
Yeah, he is. Absolutely.
He absolutely is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, but Cindy, too, he's got hundreds of thousands of followers who apparently adore him.
Well, they're adoring the wrong kind of people because I don't understand why you support someone who continuously tries to rip off we, the people, especially us lower and middle income, we're the ones that pay the brunt of this, feel the brunt of this. And I mean, I completely understand why that young man shot that Humana CEO the other day. I totally get it. I mean, it's just so frustrating.
People are angry. There's no question
Yeah.
about it, Cindy. People are furious. People are angry. But again, I cannot justify vigilante violence. That's horrifying.
And
It's
I think,
just horrifying.
I think these are two very good situations to look at. You look at the situation that's happening in New York right now, Manhattan, with that CEO. That is,
and
that-
he was from United Healthcare, by the way.
did I say?
No, Cindy said
Oh,
he was from,
gotcha.
Humana.
That is a situation which people really identified with. And I get why people are angry and why people might say this is what needed to be done. I disagree with that. I don't think it's what needed to be done. You took a human life. That'll solve nothing. Healthcare is not being solved by this. What the Onion is doing, what they want to do, is use resources and heart and the will of the people to buy up this disgusting brand and turn it into something funny and informative.
Yes.
This is how you win. This is how you do it right, in my opinion. You go in with the money if you can get it. That's my big problem, is that it's not the CEOs. I understand what Cindy's saying. For me, it's not the CEOs. It's the rich people get to win again. They're always going to get to win again, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who foot the bills, who get people like this judge in. Don't tell me that Trump picked a judge who is real level-headed, in my opinion. This is garbage.
Mark from Prairie du Sac is on the line. We're just up against the clock, Mark. Real quickly, if you would, please.
Well, that's just it. I wonder if this judge was contacted by anybody to make this decision the way he made it. Elon Stench doesn't. It's not far from my mind that he wouldn't have said, if you toss us, I'll make things good for you. That because Musk is going to be, Stench is going to be interfering with everything.
You're not wrong, and there's a mention of an Elon lawyer who got his nose in this case. And again, if you want to check it out, check our show notes after the show is over at civicmedia.us. Click on shows, click on Matenaer On Air. We will be right back. Stay close. We're going to talk about the end of an era. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
I'm going out tonight. Best believe I'm still bejeweled when I walk in the room.
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvinator on the board, coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text or leave a comment on the live stream. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that Putz de Leon continues to actively ruin, it is underway this hour. Yes, Civic Media's statewide text to win grown-up gift list contest. If you have the Civic Media app, and if you don't have it yet, you should get it.
You should get it.
It's absolutely free. Get your Civic Media app out. Go to the text button and text the word PINE. P-I-N-E is the word for this hour. You have until noon to text the word PINE, P-I-N-E, into the Civic Media app. And then you're in the running. This hour, it's for $100 cash. Every hour that we play it in the 7, 11, 1, and 3, it's either $100 in cash or an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resorts in Wisconsin Dells. And then everyone who enters is going to be in the running for one of 8 grand prizes, including robotic vacuums. We've got a snowblower. We've got espresso machines.
Ooh.
I know. Some really, really nice stuff, though.
You did say 3 o'clock.
Oh, it's 4 o'clock.
4
I'm
o'clock.
sorry. I apologize. 7, 11, 1, and 4.
Is it weird that I always feel weird when if you make, I know that we need to say the most correct thing possible on the radio, but if you or anyone says it, I feel I'm like, don't say anything. It's rude to say something.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
No.
so Midwestern.
But, well, thank you for correcting me. Yes. Your next chance will be 1 o'clock
Okay.
with Todd, and then 4 o'clock with Dom. But this hour, the word is PINE, P-I-N-E, for $100. Good luck. You have until noon. And again, you can still download the Civic Media app. Go to wherever you get your apps. It's absolutely free. Won't cost you anything. And then you can play along because we're going to do it all of this week and then all of next week.
And if you want to skip Todd for a day, go ahead. He's not going to miss you. We'll miss you.
He's so far ahead right now. I can't even. Yeah, it's incredible. But we are proud. We just want to give our listeners a shot at this $100 in
We're
your
a
chance.
spunky little outfit.
We are spunky here at MOA. Speaking of spunky being spunky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Headline reads, Taylor Swift gave staff $197 million in bonuses from her $2 billion Eras tour.
I am working for the wrong things in life. I should have gotten into guitar tech or just light rigging.
Well, we were just complaining about the very wealthy and Alex Jones and billionaires. And then you have someone like this. Taylor Swift has given out nearly $200 million in bonuses to everyone who worked on her 2-year Eras tour, including truck drivers, caterers, instrument techs, the merch team, lighting, sound, production staff and assistants, carpenters, dancers, band, security. There's a lot of people involved in pulling off something like this. Choreographers, pyrotechnics, all the riggers, the hair and makeup and wardrobe people, physical therapists, the video team. That's pretty great.
That's amazing. I mean, you think about that, 197 million out of 2 billion. That's like 10%.
Yeah.
That's about 10%. And I wonder how many artists are out there who, I mean, this is the largest tour of all time.
She changed world economies.
Yeah, it beat out Elton John's, who was number 1 by over $1.1 billion. And they haven't even done the math yet. This doesn't include like merch, which is another $400 million. The movie that was $135 million. And it just, there is a discussion that happens about, do billionaires need to exist? Are billionaires evil by design? If you're worth that much money, can you be a good person? I don't know about that argument because I feel like there's more psychology that goes into it, and there's more smart than I have to talk about it. But I do feel like you have this new crop of billionaires, and that includes people like Selena Gomez, people like Taylor Swift. He's not new, but Mark Cuban has shown that you can use your money for good. And while I understand there's always going to be arguments to say you need to give more away, well, call them and tell them. But what I'm saying is that where we see CEOs, multimillionaire,
Jeff
billionaires,
Bezos, Elon Musk.
I mean,
those guys.
Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post to ensure that their tagline, democracy dies in the darkness, never goes away. And we saw how he treated it this last election. Elon Musk used to be a guy who wanted to help people with a better tomorrow and a better earth and with traveling, and now we see where he's at right now. So there's examples, I feel like, on both sides. Granted, Taylor Swift is poor compared to Elon Musk, but I do feel like these individuals, and it might be some of the fact that they're younger and they're women, that shows that they're just maybe hope for people who are that rich.
Well, and I would hope as well that some of these people don't broadcast their charitable givings.
Yeah.
You know, not every very, very wealthy person has their own building on a, something, put up here, I'll build you a library, put my name on it.
Yeah.
I hope. But one thing I have seen on social media just lately is if you make just $1 under $1 billion,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you stop.
Yeah.
And then anything after that goes to infrastructure, schools, and medical care.
I would love to see a congressperson or a senator
Bring that up,
and just hear and from both sides, because we have senators and congresspeople who are very, very rich.
Oh, Nancy Pelosi's doing just fine
and make money off of our stock markets. But
yeah.
I don't know about that. Maybe. Well, I don't know. Just honestly, if we were just able to tax the mega wealthy easier, then we wouldn't need schemes like this. If we didn't allow them to just shove their money into accounts offshores, we wouldn't need things like this. If they were just willing to pay a percentage.
Just a percentage,
which would leave them with plenty of cheese on their Whoppers.
Yeah, they'd still have plenty of money. Rob from Port Edwards is on the line. Good morning, Rob. Thanks for joining us. We only got about a minute, Rob. Go ahead.
That's all right. I'll be short and sweet here. Good morning. Paul Krugman, economist and an editorialist for the New York Times, just hung up the Spurs. And his parting commentary piece is riveting. I would encourage anybody out there, it's Krugman, I believe it is, Paul, and he hits it right on the head regarding billionaires and their angst and their frustration. Money's not getting it for them, so they got to take it out on the world.
Thank you, Rob. I'll look for that article and we'll see if we can include that in the show notes once the show is over today. Thanks a lot, Rob. Appreciate it. News coming up next. When we return, Dr. Laura Hanks will be here with public cervix announcement. We're talking all things flu-ish. Stay with us. You're listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the vast, statewide, countrywide, potentially global Civic Media Radio Network.
Cause baby, now we got bad blood. You know it used to be mad love. So take a look what you've done. Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Hey, now we got problems.
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Sweet Cal B on the board. Coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text, or leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We're waiting to be joined by Dr. Laura Hanks. She joins us every Wednesday at this time for public Cervix announcement. I know she's had some sick kids at home.
Yeah.
Last year they went through pink eye and lice, and it was just one big barrel of fun over at the Hanks household.
And 5 of them were in an iron lung.
Yeah, no. And I think they've had some flu in their house.
Oh, God.
So there's all kinds of stuff that are starting to go around.
Just do what I do. Deny the existence of the sickness and bathe and drink Dayquil. You'll be fine. I'm not a doctor.
No, I wouldn't suggest doing that. I do want to remind you, this is one of the hours where you can text in the word via the Civic Media app.
What's the word?
Calvin, do we have that very dramatic open? The word you want to text right now is pine. It's all about timing. Timing. Timing.
It's the
Timing.
It's the beep, beep.
Pine is the word, P-I-N-E. Text in the word pine via the Civic Media app. You have the chance to pick up $100 in cash every hour that we play this, 7, 11, 1, and 4. It's either $100 in cash up for grabs or an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. And then every entry qualifies you for one of the 8 grand prizes. Could be a vacuum cleaner.
Robot vacuum.
Robot vacuum.
Robot.
Could be an espresso machine, maybe a snowblower, maybe a set of luggage. So text the word pine, P-I-N-E. You have until noon to do that. And you can still download the Civic Media app if you don't have it. It's very easy and it's free. Go to wherever you get your apps. civicmedia.us. Pine is the word, P-I-N-E.
Guess who's here?
Dr. Laura Hanks is here for public Cervix announcement. Dr. Hanks, what kind of illness are you dealing with now at your home?
I mean, it's the
What
cold,
are you dealing with?
the cough, the fevers. Who knows?
So,
It's
Dr.
December.
Hanks, I am not a trained doctor at all.
You don't say.
Okay. I just gave them my thoughts and said, bathing and drinking gallons of Dayquil is always helpful, and denying the fact they're sick at all. Can I get oh yeah from you in
Amen.
there it is. See, doctor approved.
That's all the reinforcement that you needed.
I did it. I went to medical school.
Good to know. Good to know. There is a lot of stuff floating around, though. Are you seeing many cases of the actual influenza?
I haven't seen much yet. Of course, in an OBGYN office, they usually don't come to us, and we would rather them not. But I haven't heard of much. I wonder if that's what my son just had, honestly, with the fevers and stuff. And also because this is such a sad story. We went to get his vaccines, like it was a week ago, and I went to the local pharmacy who I love, and they're great. But, he's young, so he doesn't like it. He got the COVID vaccine. I was like, that sucked. And so he started crying and wiggling, and they went to put the flu shot in, and he moved. And so it just went pew, all over.
Like the flu shot did?
The flu shot, like the vaccine was like all over, speaking of like bathing and like vaccines. So I was like, did that get in him at all? And they were like,
it got all over him.
It.
What a waste of a tiny microchip. Oh my gosh.
It was in my clothes now, I guess.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I'm like, does he have the flu? Because he most of it went all over the office. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, vaccines are not typically topical.
And no,
not how they work.
No.
Well, that's really unfortunate. I bet the person who was administering it felt pretty bad.
Yeah, and he's like our, local pharmacist that knows our first names, and it's just like lovely. And I was like, ooh, I didn't hold him very well, did I? He's like, oh well.
Well, that's got to be tough though when you have to hold down your own child so they can get a shot. I bet.
I have one of my earliest memories when I was 5 years old. My father took me to get my vaccinations, and they had they had to strip me naked, hold me down, 4 nurses by the arms and the ankles because I was going insane.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I was so afraid of needles because it's a needle and I'm 5. I don't know any
Yeah.
better. But eventually it came to I'm fine with needles now. But I have a visual recollection of that time on my stomach screaming my head off.
Aww.
And no, you can
You're
laugh
not
at
an
me. I was
anti-vaxxer. We had, when I was growing up, I grew up in the South, and I remember that had this, one of my earliest memories was this really large nurse, and she'd say, "Oh, baby, come over here and give me a big hug." And we give her a hug, and then she
Oh,
that was
Sneaky.
yeah, give me a big old hug, darling.
That didn't make you anti-hugging?
No, I'm a huge hugger. You think, yeah, like be afraid, like. Oh.
I've seen wonderful videos of pediatricians who will do like these fun little exercises with kids. Like they'll tap their cheeks, and the kid's like, "What happened?" And they're fine.
Yeah.
Distracting their attention,
Yeah.
I'm sure, is a real big part of it. It's so funny that you were talking about childhood memories of vaccines. Because I'm the youngest of 6.
Yeah.
And I remember all of us lined up with our pants down and her just coming down the line and giving us shots in our butts.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Well, my generation's soft and I'm allowed to like act out the way it does. I don't respect authority like
Yeah.
yours did. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
we get hugs, so we're even softer.
Now it's just like bend over, take it, it's over. Your day.
I got cigarettes to buy.
I
Parenting
got
there.
other things to do. What do you think I'm doing here? Dr. Laura Hanks is our guest for public cervix announcement. You can always send the doctor a question if you have a
Yes.
medical question, and we can keep it anonymous. If you would rather not have us talk about it on the air, that's fine. But you can always send it to Jane Says at civicmedia.us, JANESAYS at civicmedia.us. Use the same email if you have a guest you think would be great to be on the show.
Yeah.
If there's an issue in your community, something that you think should have a little highlight on it, bring it to our attention.
Please.
And we'll be happy to cover that for you. So it's very useful. Jane Says, JANESAYS. Jane Says at civicmedia.us. I realize you're an OBGYN doctor, but we were talking a little bit about, I'm hearing more now about the bird flu, about the avian flu. Is that much you're hearing colleagues talk about?
Oh, you did mention that, and I forgot to look it up. I'm sorry. It's like with a sick kid the last 2 days, it's been just my brain is
challenging.
everywhere. That's my excuse today. I personally have not heard much about it. I don't know. I should ask my best friend from med school's infectious disease. So I'm always like, he's like my go-to with like what's going on with this, and he's usually grumpy about it because it's infectious disease. But yeah, I mean, there's always something on the horizon, right? Like, and I think paying attention, but also remembering, as we always say, to get your vaccines for flu and COVID, and make sure that we're at least keeping that under wraps for this season. With it coming up. And something I was thinking about too is like, I think that people that have kids, I always really struggle with like when to take the kid in when they have like an illness. And so again, I'm lucky that another one of my good friends from med school is a pediatrician. So she calls me whenever she's pregnant, and then I call her about my kid. It's like a nice,
That works out nicely.
one way. And so I actually FaceTime her because I always hear about like retraction. So when kids are working really hard to breathe, you can actually see like their stomach muscles and ribs kind of retracting, and the skin getting really tight. So our son was doing that, and I was like, is that when I take him in? I can't remember. So like looking at kids, having them take their shirts off and looking at how much
they're
like
breathing
working to breathe. And she reminded me that that's not necessarily a reason to bring them in, or, what they're going to do is run a respiratory panel. They're going to see if it's flu or RSV or whatever. But they're going to tell you like rest and Tylenol and stuff. But the things to look out for is if they're not eating and drinking. So if they're so sick that they like are not interested, and that's like a huge red flag for my little meatball, because that kid loves food. So that's why I'm like watching. I'm like, do you want water? And I think that if they're not, because if they can't hydrate or
Sure.
feed themselves, then that's a pretty big red flag. Or if they're just being really, kids will be tired, but like if they're so lethargic, they like can't get up, they're going to want to snuggle, which is sometimes nice. But the retractions are big. And then if you can get like a pulse oximeter, so a little thing that can measure kids' oxygen rate. If it drops, again, I had to be reminded of this, if it drops below 90% while they're awake, that means they're not getting enough oxygen in. And so you should take them in. It can go down to 88% while they're sleeping. Because all of us have a little bit
Slow down,
breathing
sure.
as heavy. So that's like another kind of easy thing that you can pick up at your local pharmacy or CVS, Walgreens, whatever. That I think was just kind of like helpful reminder. I feel like I have to be reminded every flu season of like how to deal, like when to do, because everyone's just like they're sick. I don't know, and you take them in, they're like, yeah, they're sick. Go home,
Yeah.
and you're like, great. Now I just spread it to everyone here,
But
so.
I think that's really comforting that you as a doctor wrestle over whether or not your
Yeah.
child is sick enough to go to the doctor, because I think that's something that's got to be so relatable to anyone who's a parent.
Totally. I had no idea. And then like my husband is so annoyed. He's just like, well, you're a doctor, and I'm like, I don't deal with this kind of like little people. Like
Little people medicine is different but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just so funny. He's like, well, you're a doctor. I'm not a doctor of everything.
Well,
I
and
know.
he's an ornithologist, so does he know
He
all
does
about
it to be a smart
Well,
aleck.
yeah, ask him what he knows about bird flu. He should, then he should know all about that, right?
Oh, he would pretend to know about it. That's a different story.
The one thing we got about 2 minutes left too, Dr. Hanks. RSV is something that we've heard a lot more about in just the last couple of years, it seems to me. This was never anything that I knew about when I was growing up. So who is it important to, who should get vaccinated, and why is it important to get vaccinated for this?
So cool that we started getting the RSV vaccines last year for our pregnant patients. Right now it's approved to give once you are 32 weeks, and it is because we know that it will cross the placenta. So you give your growing fetus some protection when they come out, especially if they're born during RSV season. As some people may remember, RSV was real bad last year. My son got it, and it was horrible. Like it was a week of just high fevers and misery, no one's sleeping. And a lot of kiddos end up in the hospital too. I mean, we were real close to taking him in one night. So that's what I tell my patient. I'm like, you just don't want this, especially in a newborn. And he was, a year and a half at that time and still really struggled. So, really great to get for moms, for pregnant ladies, patients. If they miss that window, newborns can get the RSV vaccine, and I would definitely ask about it in the hospital if you weren't able to get it for whatever reason. There was this kind of weird time where we didn't have them until mid-September. So then those kiddos that were born before mom had access could be getting the vaccine. So, it is just like so huge to have. And it's such a great one. And unfortunately, with all the badness around vaccines, we have people bad media.
There you go.
Because they are good. I don't want to
misinformation.
Misinformation. Yeah.
Yes,
So I love vaccines. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
So but we do have patients that decline them. But there's just such great evidence that it can really, really help.
Well, and I would imagine that once you see your child struggling with something like that, that's going to change your mind pretty quickly.
Seriously, I
You
know.
hope so.
Yeah. And I tell people that I'm like, this went through our house. I watched my son, and like, I wish that on no one. Like, I don't want you to have to go through this. I really would encourage you to think about getting this vaccine for you.
Dr. Laura Hanks joins us every Wednesday at this time for public Cervix announcement. I hope everybody's feeling better in the household. We will talk to you next week. Thanks a lot. When we return, this shouldn't be a thing. Nope, Sferatu edition. Stay with us. This is Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and resident young person Calvin on the board, coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. Join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. You have about 8 minutes left via the Civic Media app to text the word PINE, P-I-N-E. PINE is the word for this hour. To text in via the Civic Media app, we're playing for $100 in cash.
Ooh.
That would be nice right before Christmas. I'm sure you could use it. $100 in cash every hour that we play, though, in the 7, 11, 1, and 4 o'clock hours. It's either that $100 or you could win an overnight getaway to Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. And then everyone who enters is going to be in the drawing for the grand prizes. There are 8 of them, including espresso machines, which also would be a nice Christmas gift.
Ooh.
A snowblower, that wouldn't be too bad. A nice set of luggage, and much, much more. So text in the word via the Civic Media app. Text the word PINE, P-I-N-E, for $100. All right, it is 11:53. That means it is time for...
This shouldn't be a thing.
If you ever have a thing you think should not be, send it in to Greg and me at Jane Says at civicmedia.us, Janesays. Jane Says at civicmedia.us. Today it is the Nosferatu edition. Headline reads from IndieWire, for $20,000, you can sleep like Bill Skarsgård in Nosferatu, a full-size replica of Count Orlok's sarcophagus bed are now available for sale. Yes, you heard that right. The upcoming horror film Nosferatu going back, and that's one of the earliest vampire movies, I think.
Yeah, I think it was the first horror movie.
The first horror movie. It was black and white,
And
pretty scary.
yeah.
They have a new version coming out this month, Nosferatu. The sarcophagus bed, thank goodness, featured in the movie is now available for fans to purchase everywhere. A full-size replica of the one used by Bill Skarsgård's Count Orlok on screen. It's actually handcrafted from premium materials and sits on a wooden base with intricate carvings. Hence the $20,000 price tag. The Focus Features says in an email, this highly collectible sarcophagus also features a distinctive interior with a custom fit mattress and foam lid for easy opening at sundown.
I feel like we're doing an ad for this now. Like,
The Nosferatu sarcophagus bed weighs 250 pounds, is sanded and hand-coated, comes with a numbered certificate of authenticity. You got to make sure that it fits, though. The outside of the sarcophagus, including lid and base, measures 97 inches long, 36 inches wide, and 46 inches high. That is a pretty roomy coffin. But
bring a
if
friend.
that's your thing, I can't bring a friend. And the lid closes.
Well, then I'm in. I
Right?
mean, my
I mean,
goodness.
What are you going to do with it if the thing doesn't close?
I wasn't going to buy this piece of garbage until you said the lid closes. My goodness.
$20,000, and this can be yours. It would certainly make for a very unique Christmas gift. I'm not quite sure what message that would send to your loved one.
I mean, it would make you, like, I hope you sleep tight.
This couldn't happen soon enough.
I was just trying to help.
Just a thought.
Just a thought.
Nosferatu, the newest edition, premieres in theaters this Christmas. Nothing says Christmas like a nice, creepy vampire movie.
The original came out in 1922. It is 102 years old.
Wow. It also stars, along with Mr. Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Emma Corrin, Ralph Ineson, Simon McBurney, and Willem Dafoe.
Of course, it's got Willem Dafoe in it.
That's right in his alley.
He's always in the movies, and I'm happy about that. I'm here for this. I paid $20,000 to hang out with William Dafoe.
Well, if you want to check it out, you can sleep when you're dead.
Yeah.
For $20,000, sleep like Bill Skarsgård in Nosferatu. Have fun.
Let me put it this way: if I spent 20 grand on a coffin bed, I would probably be murdered by my wife. So I would have the perfect place,
to go to rest.
Exactly.
That's nice. That wraps up today's edition of
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Coming up tomorrow, Neil Unwitz is going to be joining us. He is with National Security Leaders for America, and he wrote an op-ed a couple of weeks ago about how to deal with the incoming administration.
Nice.
He's got kind of a slightly different take on things.
Gotcha.
So that should be interesting. Senator Tammy Baldwin.
Just got on the books this morning.
We just got her book today. She will be here at 11:21 and then 11:30, as he is every other Thursday, all things sports with Acme Sports Company's Paul Noonan. And we will be talking about Aaron Rodgers.
He has opinions on Aaron Rodgers.
He's got some, It should be a great show.
Yeah.
News is coming up next. Stay tuned for that. Thank you, Greg and Calvin, and all of our engineers. Without you guys, nothing works. And thank you most of all for calling and for texting and for listening. It means the world. I hope you find some joy today, even if it's just a little bit, and you have the chance to share it. Keep it right here on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll see you tomorrow.